All right, this next video is by Sashko, which is a creator we've watched before. Very, very good. Does like a lot of other content creators we watch, do kind of this like history of perk history of something or another kind of style of video. This one is covering object, little object of obsession, which, you know, you may hear that now and be like, object? What do you mean? Old object used to be pretty crazy, and you're gonna find that out. But before we get too carried away, make sure you hit that link that just showed up in the Twitch chat, and make sure if you're watching on YouTube here in the future that you're clicking on the link in the description below to like and subscribe to this creator, because they put out really good work and we should support their official release of said work, or else you're a big jerk. So yeah, anyways, let's get into it.
Alright, that's awesome. So we have an object, Myers, Magic, Cowshed. 3 objects, okay.
Wow.
Okay.
There have been many overpowered perks throughout Dead by Daylight's lifespan, but
Yep.
no other perk has had the same history as Object of Obsession. Currently, this is one of the most niche perks in the game, with it being repeatedly ranked in the bottom tiers of perk tier lists. However, what if I told you that the previous iterations of Object of Obsession caused some of the biggest controversies in DBD's history? Well, in this video we're going to be going over the evolution of the Object of Obsession perk in Dead by Daylight, and without
Remember people running object and dropping midwich on purpose? There was a point in time that survivors would bring midwich on purpose. You imagine that? Most killer sided map in the game. There was a point in time that survivors would bring midwich on purpose, literally bring Mary's Letter Offering, and it was specifically to abuse old object of obsession, which you will see why here in a second. Ooh, Silent Hill music.
Our story begins during the late October of 2016. These were uncertain times for Dead by Daylight, as the only chapter released prior to that was The Last Breath, which meant that players weren't used to the current 3-month cycle of new content.
Yep.
People were just starting to get the hang of the nurse when, completely out of the blue, Behavior dropped the Halloween chapter. This was the first ever licensed chapter to be introduced to Dead by Daylight, which brought several new things to the game, these being a new killer, The Shape, or more commonly known as Michael Myers, a new survivor, Laurie Strode, and a new map, Lambkin Lane Haddonfield, which, fun fact, was the first ever map in DBD.
No, Midwich is the most killer sided map in the game, bully. That's why it's weird.
Implemented a brand new mechanic that players had never seen before, the Obsession.
Mm-hmm.
As you might already know, all of the 2 new characters' perks were related to this mechanic, including Object of Obsession, one of Laurie's 3 teachables. Let's read the description of this perk to understand how it functioned. A supernatural bond links you to the killer. If you are looking in the killer's direction while outside their terror radius, your link will reveal your auras to each other. If you're the killer's obsession, this effect
I don't miss old Haddonfield either. New Haddonfield isn't great, but I don't miss old Haddonfield at all.
If you're not the killer's obsession, this effect only applies up to a maximum range of 64 meters. Increases the odds of being the obsession. The killer can only be obsessed with 1 survivor at a time. Now, you might ask yourself, how exactly was this that problematic? Sure, you knew if the killer was on the other side of the map while sitting on a gen completely uninterrupted, and stealth killers could completely counter the perk, right? Well, not really, as in the early days of Dead by Daylight, the undetectable status effect wasn't a part of the game yet, and stealth killers only had their terror radius reduced, meaning that they could still be revealed by aura reading perks. Not only that, but the main problem was survive with friends. More specifically, the problem was to do with survivors that were on voice comms. See, when players used voice communications, they could more or less completely bypass the outside.
That movement looks so much more fluid. Like the animation looks bad, but like the actual like quality of it is like fluid. Survivor looks so clunky nowadays.
Only 1 person on the team running the perk could guarantee value for the whole entire squad. 2016 went by, 2017 went by, 2018 went by, and the perk still remained completely untouched. Things got even more heated when one of the most notorious Dead by Daylight developers, Almo, who is hilariously known for not being particularly.
How many times does this person come up and just saying something really wacky and dumb for like no reason? like at this point, like it's not even shocking. It's not even surprising. Like we could have something tomorrow. It's like Almo said something really dumb. I'd be like, yeah. I mean, what did you expect? That's just what they do. Almo shows up, drops a really bad take or really backwards, disrespectful take about something, and goes back into the ether. This is what this person does. don't be shocked anymore.
good at the game, issued a statement that pretty much proved that the dev team only cared about statistics and nothing else, at least back then. Roll the clip.
So I went and took a look at the recent statistics on this thing, and it's not used very often, and the survivors that use it don't have a particularly high escape rate, so it doesn't seem like it's an amazingly effective perk.
Yeah, you may die if you had Object of Obsession, but your 3 other teammates to which you were communicating the killer's exact location throughout the entirety
I remember the stream too because immediately after they cut this part, immediately after Kote's like, yes, but it is important that we look at the overall results and what's happening to like the other players inside those matches. Well, like Kote comes out and puts him down for saying that, like right after. Kote's like, it's not that simple, like right afterwards. Like he's like, no. It was really awkward. It's really awkward, but good on him for going, let's not simplify it that much.
Match would probably be just
colorblind
fine.
request? Yeah,
Things
that's the same guy, I
definitely
believe.
needed to change. So, on the 4th of May 2021, more than 4.5 years after the initial release of the perk, Behavior finally decided to implement its long-awaited rework. The new 4.7.0 version of the Object of Obsession perk worked the following way. The killer's aura is revealed to you for the same duration as they read your aura. Your action speeds in repairing, healing and cleansing are increased by 6%. If you are the obsession, your aura is revealed to the killer for 3 seconds every 30 seconds. This new version of Object of Obsession was certainly a lot more balanced than its previous iteration. You could still use the perk to communicate the killer's location to your friends, however you could now only do this every half a minute, and sometimes you could have your location revealed to the killer at the worst possible time.
Yeah, that's...
This was finally
If you ever wonder why
killer
I never had any interest in running Object, it's for that reason. Because sometimes, like, I don't like to immerse. I do not like to immerse. But sometimes, like, you have to be the one to go for the save, right? Like, it's just the flow of gameplay. Sometimes you're the best guy to go for the save, and sometimes that means walking right past the killer and making sure they don't see you. And if you have Object, it's just like, you, right there. You know? Like, I run Object sometimes, but mostly just as a meme when I'm running Fong Mean to make fun of Uzi. And I like the perk. It's just like, sometimes the best play is to just like, kind of like walk by the killer, mostly to get a save or something like that. And you can't do that with that perk, because if it goes off the wrong time, you're host.
players could finally take a breath, as one of the main tools that bully squads had now been nerfed pretty significantly. However, this wasn't the last controversy that the Object of Obsession perk would find itself in, as only a little bit less than a year after that, one of the most notorious bugs in Dead by Daylight history would come to life.
Yep, that sucked.
Around the time that Sadako was released to the live servers, players discovered the bug which allowed you to gain infinite aura reading on the killer for the entire duration of the match. This supposed exploit involved a survivor bringing the perks Blood Pact and of course Object of Obsession. It worked the following way. If you or the obsession got injured, for some reason this allowed you to see the killer's aura for the entire time you or the other survivor were injured. This was without a doubt completely unfair and arguably one of the most game-breaking bugs that have ever existed in Dead by Daylight. Thankfully, unlike most other ridiculous mechanics in the game, the developers kill-switched this one pretty quickly, as of course it was unintended and it got fixed the next patch. But contrary to popular belief, this still wouldn't be the last time that the Object of Obsession perk would receive changes, as 1 year later, the perk got secretly changed without it even being mentioned in the patch notes.
Which is weird when they do stuff like this, when they change stuff and just like don't say it. It's really odd. Makes me think it's like on accident. Or something like
During
that.
the 6.5.0 update,
Not this
Object
specifically,
of
but just like
Obsession
changes like
received
that in
the
general.
following undocumented changes. Quality of life. Move the timer for the intermittent aura reveal from the status HUD to the perk icon itself. Quality of life. If your aura is hidden from the killer, the intermittent aura reveal timer resets. This is most easily done by hiding in a locker. One more thing to note about this perk is that currently it is possible to effectively gain the effects of the old Object of Obsession by pairing the perk with Metal of Man.
This is what
Since
Uzi
it
just said.
reveals your aura to the killer the next time you heal back to full health and are farther than 16 meters from them. And yeah, that's basically it. Today, Object of Obsession is only a shell of its former glory, as it gets consistently ranked as one of the worst perks in Dead by
So they didn't cover it. I was hoping they would. But the reason I brought up Midwich at the beginning of this video is what survivors would do, since it was just like constant, or position, like the aura reading used to be constant back and forth. What you could do is bring Midwich, which is a big square. And what you do is you would run Object of Obsession, and if the killer looked at you from the other side of Midwich, all you had to do was start shift Wing to the other side of the square, and they could never catch you, because you're technically not in chase. So there, no bloodlust is happening. So if the killer looks at you and tries to walk at you, they can't, because there's a big square. So they can't, like, you know, take the path of leave, you know, A to B, because there's a courtyard in the middle and a wall that's stopping you, right? Like, you can't just go straight at them. So what they would do is they would just, like, rotate to them. Right? What Bully said, just go round and round and round, and you would never catch up to them unless you were playing somebody like Blight, where you could actually, like, zoom at them. You know, like, unless you had, like, a high-speed killer, like a movement killer, like, could not catch up to them. And it was, like, the most bully thing that I could, it was nasty. Like, there was a period of time when killers would DC Midwich offerings because they were afraid of that. Weird to hear in 2023. There was a space and time killers would dodge Midwich offerings. Weird. Very strange.
A funny story is that I actually thought the current object only reveals the killer's aura to you and not your aura to the killer as well. And I really was wondering why other people thought the perk was so bad. But then I learned how it actually worked and everything became much clearer. Alright guys, before we end it, check out this video and let me know if you would like to see me do more videos like that.
Oh my god. No. The answer is no. That hurts my ears. The answer is no. The answer is no. That was way too loud. Stop. No. I did 4-man squads with 4 objects, brought Midwich. That's disgusting. That is disgusting. That's mean. That's rude. That's rude. I hate that you did that. That's gross. That's disgusting. You should apologize. You should apologize for that. To everybody who ever did that too. Rude. Yeah, Object is in a, I feel like Object's in a pretty okay spot. Like, there are perks in this game that you can't make good. Boil Over is a perfect example. We saw what happened when Boil Over was great. It was one of the most obnoxious perks in the game. People going up into the area of Crow's Tower, people going up into the 3rd floor of RPD, which no longer exists. People going up at the top of Disturbed Ward. Always wiggling off, being the most annoying perk in the game. Some perks are not meant to be good, because when they're good, they're way too good. I think Object is, you know, for better or worse, one of those perks that when you make it good, it's way too good. When it's good, it's way too good. And it kind of has to stay at a place where, like, its impact on the game is not too much. Because if you make it good, you know, we go back to the old days, and that is not great. Not great as you saw through this video. Not great. Buckle up, you couldn't make good, so you gave both? Yeah, and then, like, you know, we need to not count for the Peepo as affecting that, I would think, would be the way to fix that. Because that currently is busted for the same reason of just, like, a perk that really shouldn't be good. Because if it is, it's obnoxious, and we're finding that out. So, yeah. yeah. So, make for the people not work with that. So W moving through 4 from RPD was, yeah, it was really cool, just as a fan of the series. But from a gameplay perspective, it did nothing but harm the gameplay cycle of the game. That 3rd floor did, so it's better they removed it. It's fun to get the killer stuck, yeah, but like when it was good, it was obnoxious, and in a lot of cases unfair. So yeah, you can still do that too. It's just way harder. You have to, like, go to Batum, bring a Batum offering, move the basement to Shack on purpose with another offering with your friend, and then go down into the basement of Batum, and it's the same thing all over again. Unless the killer has Agi, you're like, it's awful. There's not much you can do. So it's still in the game in a very, like, singular and very weak way. But yeah, it's better that we keep stuff like that from being in the game. And once again, I say this in a lot of videos, it's one of those things where I'm like, people prefer old DBD, huh? I don't know about that, Chief. I don't know if I want to go back to old Boil Over or old Object. I don't know about that. I do not know about that, Chief. Do you want to go back to those days? Because I sure don't. We run them with that Batum setup? Yeah, because you can't even slug them because they just stand back up. It's awful. It's terrible. Absolutely terrible. Yeah. some perks aren't meant to be good. I think object is unfortunately one of those. And that's how I feel about it.